everyone, it's Angelique Luna here during quarantine, self-isolation, and lockdown with my loving husband, tech guy, trying to keep me sane and also driving me insane, John C. Luna.
We've passed day 30 of
I
being indoors,
know.
and it's kind of, I never thought I would say it. Being indoors is weird from an ex-software developer. You know, normally that's what we do, hide in caves. So,
And smuggle in hot pockets there.
you know, we haven't had hot pockets in this house in years.
I know, but well, the 19-year-old moved out. That's
That's
why.
true.
That's why we don't have hot pockets.
That's
But
true.
it is still troubling times because it's been 30 days. We haven't heard the fireworks from Magic Kingdom. So soon, Mickey, soon we will see you.
But we have a interview that's a little off base, but still related to our sex positive theme.
It is totally off base, but it's so encouraging, the drinking that has helped this economy keep going.
Classy drinking. Classy drinking. You make it sound like we're opening up a keg with our teeth. No.
Well, no, because they know I don't drink kegs or beer. I'm a wine kind of girl.
I know.
Well, you're a Scotch guy, so.
That is true. But we're also both wine people.
And
it's funny because I was watching the news last night, and they announced, what was it, Total Wine sales are up 78% since the quarantine, which makes me want to go back in time and buy stock in Total Wine right before all this happened, because they apparently are the only people making money at this.
Right, but as long as the World Health Organization don't get their way and trying to shut down the alcohol, I was like, no, because they say alcohol consumption lowers your immune system, which makes you susceptible to get the coronavirus. And I'm like, no, that's what's keeping us sane is the alcohol.
That's what's keeping us happy at home and having nice, relaxing evenings.
Because if I'm happy, you're happy, and that's everyone's happy. So yes.
So let's jump to our introductions. We have Arianna Lyrist. Damn it, I didn't say it.
Close. You're close. Arianna Lyrist.
Lyrist. You know something? Your name's Lyrist, and you're into music. There's a connection there. That's just, and her partner. I'm gonna get this, Ansoir.
Ansoir, perfect. Yes.
Got it. So, we actually met her
at Podfest
about 2 months ago at Podfest.
It's not been 2 months.
That hasn't been 2 months.
No, it hasn't.
That's right, because that's towards the end of Podfest is when I went to do hugs, because I'm a huggy person, and people started saying no. So it was right at the beginning of
the COVID lockdown. Yes. So yes, it hasn't been 2 months, God. Next month will be 2 months.
That was one of the last conferences, I think, that hit, and then I made it back to Nashville after that, just that weekend, and then after that, all traveling pretty much shut down.
Well, one of the sad things, just quickly talking about travel, is we've been checking on our friends, and one is getting home today. Like, they've been trying to get home since all of this started. Wow. And constantly, they've had like 6 flights, and 6 times they started going to the airport and it was canceled.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, hopefully their hotel, I don't know if they got some covered if they were on vacation. But
they're staying with family, so that's a good thing for some of our friends that have been blessed on the lockdown, because we have another friend that's still locked down in Hawaii. Oh, darn, she's on a beachfront house. How horrible.
I can volunteer as tribute to take her space so she can get back to her family, if you pass the word on.
Yeah, exactly. We are all in trying to escape that. It's like, tag.
Well, there's a lot of things people are volunteering for. I know it's not there no more, but I keep seeing quotes about they're wishing the Playboy Mansion was still there, because it means someone's trapped in there with all those poor women that are bored as hell.
Well, that's another thing that's up is sex toy sales. They're up by 58%.
Wow.
Oh, wow. So that's another, I definitely attest to the wine sales, because I work at a wine shop in Nashville, and that's, it's definitely been busier than it's ever been, that I've seen. And I've been working there for about 8 months. And so it's, he's, the owner is going to be happy. He's going to be taking a big vacation next year, I think.
That's awesome. Well, quickly to go through your bio, I know you're out of Nashville. You are a singer-songwriter, performer, and obviously now a wine enthusiast. Mm-hmm. And we mentioned this. You're working on what is it? Your wine spirit education trust level 3. That sounds so formal.
Yes, yep. I'm currently studying for that. I did get. I was planning on taking it in May, but now it's postponed because of Corona. But it gives me a little extra time to prep and do a. Usually, there was a formal tasting group that I was meeting with, and on a weekly basis, and we're kind of going through the grid, they call it, and so I'll get a chance to do that again before I take it. But yes, it's a very rigorous exam for sure.
That sounds pretty cool. I mean, people come to us and then we'll say like, well, how do you become a sex expert? And I'm like, I'm not really sure. We kind of just ended up here. There is no like, if you want to be a lawyer, there's a track. If you want to be a doctor, obviously there's a track. Engineer, there's a track. You want to talk about sex? Well, you'll figure it out. And no one ever thinks, but there is a set thing about wine, because once you get into the wine industry, it is very, I'm assuming, a close knit but large worldwide community.
It is. It's funny that way because it is on a global scale. It's just there's so many places, the regions, and that people are study wine or making wine. However, I find in Nashville, it's a small community. So if you know one person, or the people, if you know somebody that works at a restaurant, most likely they're going to know other people who are working in the wine industry or studying for which exam, different exams. And it's definitely a small, kind of a clique, niche thing to study.
Now, does that? I was gonna say, does that have that fancy title of sommelier? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. So that's the but through the quartermaster somms, I have my intro through the quartermaster somms, and then level 2 is the certified. So once you complete level 2, you're an official sommelier.
Oh, cool.
That's a fancy title.
Yeah. And people, I think that's the most common, most well known out there. And then as far as just that word, being, but the WSET, I did, as I was getting into it, I did more research about the different types of organizations, and I thought that the WSET was more in line with my interests in the field. So it's more focused on viticulture and, kind of how the climate or, topography affects the land, or just different aspects and the growing conditions versus and then also with more business wine, importing, exporting, things like that, distribution, versus the quartermaster somms is more service-based focused. So fine dining and in that world.
So you took your wine experience, and of course you're in Nashville, the home of such great music, and you're the host of Treble and Vine.
It's a podcast. An idea. I started my undergraduates in music and communications, and so I started off with with that degree, and writing in town with different songwriters, performing around, and that's been great. I love writing. That's like my favorite thing about music, and performing is fun too. But I definitely, it's cool when you get into writing. It's like you just someone else's perspective. You kind of sit around in a room with another person or 2 other people and just have a discussion about titles and topics, or we call them hooks, the chorus of the song, in other words, and then you kind of go into just open up into a conversation about how someone's feeling or what's going on in their life, and then you create a song from it. So that was, I've been doing that for many years, and then I got into wine about a year and a half ago, and just started reading about it, and then took the intro and got certified. I work at the Sheraton, so working there, the certification is kind of helping, or is along with what I'm doing there as a champagne ambassador, and so that's been really fun. But to come full circle, the podcast came from having the background in music and wanting to combine that with what I was recently, my studies in wine. And so it's been, I've been working on it for about a year. And so it's been a slow process getting it up and started. And, this is my first as you said earlier, I met you at PodFest. That was my first podcasting conference that I attended, and I learned a lot, kind of about, things I've done right, things I want to change, and it kind of is. I feel like it's launching me into that next step with developing the podcast.
Well, Podfest was definitely an overload. It is basically the only way to put it, because they had 4, sometimes 6 sessions going on simultaneously. It's like any conference. You wished you had clones, because you want to go to all of them, but you can't be in 2 rooms at the same time. And it went on for 3 days. And
4.
Was it 4? Oh, we missed
4.
the first day. That's right.
Well, no, you missed the 4th.
Oh, you went to the first.
Yeah, I went to all of them there. So except for the after party, because I was being a good woman. So I stayed
Since
home.
when do you miss an after party?
you were needy, anyways. No, but Podfest was a good conference to go for your first podcasting one, because it's still, even though this year was like extreme growing pains, I mean, they literally did double in size from last year to this year. Still that, hey, whatever you need, we're here. No one's in competition, no matter what kind of topic you're talking about in your podcast. So I know one of the speakers was a psychic medium, and everyone was really cool and supportive. I mean, ours was last year, right? Or 2 years? No,
We've done 2 years so far.
2 years. So last year was our first one, and we were scared shitless because of our topic. We're like, okay, how are they going to react? And everyone was very open arms, welcoming, and gave us tips and tricks and how to, improve. And I thought, whoa, we were used to backlash, but no, that is like the best family friendly conference, I think.
And we had met you at it was a holistic talk where we were.
So that was kind of a funny, I don't know if I had told you that kind of background. I was looking for, so Steve, he does the editors, editing academy, and does a lot of the editing. So I do all my own editing through iMovie on the, for my podcast. And I had met him in Nashville at a monthly podcast meeting. And he had offered me a ticket. It was, so he goes, oh, well, we have an extra ticket if you want to come to Podfest. And I was like, oh, when is it? He's like, oh, it's like in 2 weeks. I'm like, oh, okay.
Get on a plane. Come on down. Let's go.
Yeah. I was like, let me see if I can clear, my work schedule and get a flight there in the hotel. And, but yeah, I was able to get kind of a special rate through the Sheraton and the Marriott. And, so it worked out. It worked, to go. And so when I showed up, he said, I went on Friday. I came, and he was like, oh, a bunch of us are going to meet kind of for coffee at about 5 o'clock, or he was doing, came a day early to do an editor's, meet and greet, and kind of had his own, kind of a mini conference just for that one day conference. But I told him I couldn't attend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all 3 days, but, I wanted to join at the end, and I couldn't find where they were meeting. And so then I ran into just a girl who was going to she goes, well, I'm going to meet these other girls, and we're going to go get sushi at that. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. So I just like went with her, which then turned into that is actually a bigger meeting than I anticipated, but with all the holistic people. And so and that was kind of my first introduction to the Podfest, as far as meeting you, and
cool.
So it's kind of, I was like, all right, I feel like that's a lot of what conferences are, but just especially how Podfest operates. It's just really open, and really a lot of people just, oh, you should join our group, or what are you doing? Let's, really inviting and welcoming in that sense. And so I kind of it was like that from after that point, the whole weekend was just that way.
And it just goes so quickly. The entire thing. Their sleep is like optional. In fact, it's discouraged. Just keep going.
Yeah.
You do some 5-hour energy and keep going.
Well, that's all our conferences. We know the rules. It's like, what is it? 3 meals.
3 showers?
No, it's 3, 2, 1. It's like 1 shower. 1 shower, 2 meals, and 3 hours of sleep. That's the code for conferences.
And what if you're a veteran? 4 drinks.
4 drinks, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Like that pretty much sums up. Yeah, I think I didn't eat at all. Like I was like the whole just running to one panel next, to the back to back, one after the other. But it was fun. No, I learned a lot, and it made me, really excited me for, moving forward with what I'm doing, and gave me a lot of or meeting you and having, this topic of new innovative ideas for episodes for future, and the types of kind of opening my mind, I guess, is really what to new, just new ideas and new ways to combine music, wine, and it's like music, wine, and sex. That's one of the it's just it's like those things that they all go one after the other.
It's a good evening.
Yeah, it's a good evening.
And we encourage good evenings. And one of the things is a sex positive podcast is obviously the mood is a big part of it. Setting the mood, getting people, you can't just come home from a long bad day at work where your boss yelled at you and turn around and go, I'm sexy now. It never really works out so well.
Yeah, here's some Barry White on. Yeah.
So in all honesty, setting the mood is a huge thing. And especially with so many people at home, most people I know are home, and when they say, oh, I want something different to drink, they're going to drink, what is that, Kendall something? Whatever's at Publix, your general grocer. And that is like, the Budweiser of beers. So yes. When we were meeting with Arianna, we said we really wanted to go ahead and do this and have an interview, kind of getting people out of their comfort zone in preparing for that intimate night, or even just to relax with. So we talked about bringing in some wines, and yes. You know what? I have wines right here.
Yeah, you kidnapped my wine bottle. Yes, you did.
No,
I was
here.
supposed to have it.
I brought I threw some. I had emails, in advance, some suggestions. So I was gonna show you we're both drinking that Whitehaven.
Whitehaven. There we go.
A Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, and so I love New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. That's kind of my, and it definitely is a personal preference as far as it's going to have, there's a native berry that grows there called a gooseberry. And
yes.
You know the gooseberry?
Yes, a cat food and wine festival, drinking around the world.
And so you already know. Then
yes.
So you like it. But, some people say it's like, it has a very distinct taste. That's what I will say that. And so some people, have said, oh, it's like drinking cat piss, or, it's like and I don't have cats. So that's probably, that was not my initial association with it. I'm like, I don't know what you mean. And so I thought, so this wine too, I will say, because the ones I emailed you, and I said Chop Shop, Whitehaven, the Sauvignon Blanc, the Chop Shop's a Cabernet Sauvignon. So I wanted to find, where I work, we have, a few, it's more of a boutique winery, but there are a few that I knew they would have in Orlando or sort of wherever, these are accessible is what I'm trying to say is. So that I found, I gave you a few options, and this is a great, I figure, why not sunny afternoon, sit on the back porch, kind of, wine. And so I have a couple glasses here as well. So I'll have
That's John misplaced the cap.
I dropped the cap, but at least I have the wine, so we're good.
Okay, now here's the silly question. We actually chilled. Was it supposed to be chilled or not?
Yes, I will say for white wines, I recommend chilling 15, 20 minutes. If you need it faster, I will, you can put it in the freezer for about 5 to 10 minutes. Just don't forget you put it in there. But I've definitely done that before. This I would say yes. White wine, you definitely want to, have chilled a little bit. And so cheers. Yes.
Cheers.
We have fun. And so I made up a grid. With the W set, this is our W set systematic approach to tasting wine. And so I can send you a couple pictures if you want to kind of post this as well. Yeah. But it goes through, so it starts, go through it, and I have my wine. This is my wine journal I have here. It's just my where I'll, so this is the wine today, Whitehaven. And I'll go through, I usually write the name, write the vintage, or the year, and then where it's from. And then I go through, there's several categories. So, going in order. Should we get that? I'll grab a pen real quick.
It tastes pretty good. It's light, and it
Yippee!
almost has a hint of pear to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would say that. No, it does. And so going through it, I'll run through it quick. So you start with appearance, then the nose, and then the palate, and then kind of your conclusions. So appearance, and normally you should always have, I can kind of use my Apple box, but there's, use like a white,
background.
Yeah, white. So in order to really see the coloring in it, and I know this is kind of these are my fun wine glasses. We were outside earlier and it's so windy that we broke the wine glasses, just like blew right over.
Ooh.
She threw them at me. Yeah.
I know, the drinking started before us. No fair.
Like it's the afternoon. It's like that. Yeah, this is our. Yeah, but this was, so I always say get a white napkin or some white background so you can kind of clearly, and you kind of tilt the glass like so. You want a clear glass, and so the first thing, clarity. It's clear. Intensity, I would say, there's pale, medium, or a deep. This is pale. Looking, it's light, like you said, a light. Light has like there's, and it kind of has as far as coloring, I would say there's, for whites we have lemon green, lemon, gold, amber, or brown. And so going through that, this again, I would say is like lemon green, lemon.
Okay.
On that lighter side of the grid. If it's going to be, usually the coloring, if it's gold, amber, or brown, now we're talking about a white wine that has aged. So the older, that's kind of the older a white wine, the more aged white wine has, the darker it will become.
Mm-hmm.
And so more of that coloring, that amber, or that, kind of an orangey brown type. Then we move on to the nose. And so, and I will swirl my glass here. And the purpose of that, just kind of in this fashion, but is to really get the best scent, or so that way it will rise.
I'm getting fruity and berry.
Yeah.
As clear as I can. And so it's clean. So it's like, is the wine clean? The condition, is it clean or is it faulty? So this wine is, we opened the bottle and we just opened it. So it could possibly, it was on the shelf of the wine shop. So there's a possibility of it being faulty, but it's not, it's good.
Let me ask you, stop you. When you say faulty, there was a time I opened up a wine and there were flakes in it. Or it seemed like there was sort of like a sediment in that. Is that a process like that occurs from aging? Or was it just like a wine that just went too quickly and it looked like very small, like small parts of grape floating around in it. It was weird.
No, the sediments are natural. It's not a fault in the wine. I know some people who, if you're at a restaurant, at the bottom of the bottle, sometimes there's a little bit of that sediment or pieces, or you'll find it when you pour it in the glass. Usually I'd recommend that wine should be decanted, and that's usually happens just again with aging. And something that just, and to me that's really almost, it's a quality. It's just sort of a standard thing that happens in red wine. You're not going to find, you won't find that there's other things with tartrate crystals that will form in white wine, and usually but it's different from sediment. But the sediment, that's just a natural forming part that you can find in the bottle, but not a fault at all.
Oh, cool. I never knew.
Yeah, well, that explains why every time we go drinking at our favorite restaurant, they put all our wines in a decanter.
The red wines, not the sparkling and not the white.
Okay.
I don't think.
I don't remember. It's been a while.
Usually it's more common to decant red wine.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's not common that, I would think any white wine really would be, just because you can, not that you can't, but I would say red wine because of possibility of sediment, or it kind of it lets it breathe and open up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, yeah, I mean, you could do it with white too, but I would say it's just more, I've just seen it's more common with red.
With the red, yes, I know, because we always order a super Tuscan wine. But I thought they did it one time with what was that sparkly one that we always
No, they never
get?
do it with a sparkling.
With a Prosecco?
They never
thought
do
they
it with
did that. But anyways, yeah. But yeah.
See, recently, okay, being Italian, Chianti was just like soda. It was at every meal. And usually it was the mega huge bottle of it that lasted, that comes by the
just
gallon.
Just a dinner.
Yeah, I know, the dinner wine. So since then, I've kind of upgraded. Like I say, trying different wines and trying different stuff. But my mind just went blank because we're drinking. So I'm going to let you take the call from this one.
Okay, so would you suggest this more of a fish wine, chicken, meat?
I would say, I mean, it's definitely, I would pair this high acidity, which when I go through the grid, I'll kind of name some things too of along those lines of food, the best food pairing for this wine. But yeah, anything from, I mean, cheeses like a brie cheese and crackers, that would be great for like kind of an appetizer, or just any like goat cheese, that kind of thing. Or I would say more lighter sauces. So if it was like a chicken marsala, this would be great with. Again, yeah, fish, like a lot of white fish. I would do, I'm trying to think of a good, maybe a swordfish would be great, with this kind of a dish with a, like anything, shell, or even like oysters.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Are cool. Yeah, I would do that with this wine. Would be great.
Which also happens to be an aphrodisiac. So that's
okay.
Oysters. Well, if you think about it, if you're planning a romantic evening, you don't go down to like the nearest all-you-can-eat buffet and feed up on the biscuits and gravy, because you're not going to feel that romantic later on tonight. So when it comes to pairing with wine, we usually recommend fish or lighter stuff. That way, and we also have a term we use on the show called PSM, and that is called post-sex munchies. So we have a habit of ordering the appetizer to go at the end, and then after we get home and after the events are over, then you have your munchies.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to do it. And then you can, that you could always too, if you wanted to take home a dessert or like a digestif wine, that would be another, way to, maybe a port or something.
I don't know how that would be after you're so dehydrated from your activities. Having wine afterwards.
Well, even the wine afterwards, I think a sweet wine afterwards would definitely give you a little refreshment. And
a Moscato would be another. A Moscato would be lighter in that sense. Port might be a little heavy, as far as that goes. But it's, and Moscato, I would say, like a nice, or Prosecco, something a little light, a little sparkle, a little bubbly.
Cool.
Kind of be a couple options, but. Yeah, and then I can, so let me finish going through the grid. So we have the, so now we're still on the nose. So we have condition, intensity, or aroma characteristics, and then development. And then you kind of go through a similar thing on the palate. But so we said clean, I would say, like when you put your nose up to it, and you want to do short, kind of like how a dog sniffs, just kind of that really short. Don't stick your nose. Don't go.
Oh.
Really stick your nose in it, but just short. And I would say it's probably on the medium as far as intensity. Maybe. So there's light, medium minus, medium plus, pronounced. So it's not like, wow, like I don't smell it from, just when I put my nose up to it. So, but it does have that. Yeah, it has I can still really have a smell. So I'd say it's a medium. And then aroma characteristics, now we get into, is it floral? What green fruit, citrus, stone fruit, tropical fruit? So as far as floral, I would say, chamomile, honeysuckle, kind of a white, maybe elderflower, or like daisy, on that. Green fruit, I mean, gooseberry, that's even listed here. I might, the book, that's an example. But you said pear. I definitely
Pear smell a little. Now, is it normal, like, I know when you go and get food, they disclose what's in the food. Is it normal in wine, because I actually have never looked, if they disclose what other, I mean, obviously the grapes, of course, but I'm assuming, like you said, honeysuckle, there's other things that could be added to there. Is that correct?
Or added, say that again?
There's other, besides obviously the grapes, there's other additives, like you said, maybe honeysuckle, maybe like fruit or something like that. Is that actually added into the mix? Or is it just...
Sometimes it's added through the yeast they use in the fermentation. They could have so it depends on the winemaker and what type of yeast. Like, is it, so there's ambient yeast, which is just a wild yeast, or like the natural forming, which a lot of times, that's, I prefer that if it's just, however, it's also with a lot of, larger company or, conglomerate wine makers, they have a certain, so I don't want to use like names, but there's just, they have a typical, every time that you're going to get the same taste.
Gotcha.
But I was actually telling you about this, about when we first met, but it just how, if you think of how McDonald's or like how fast food, like they have a certain product that they produce that's like everybody expects it the same way. So like the French fries, that or whatever, something you order, and so wine is similar, but it's also, it's so unnatural to, it's like you're trying to process something that, it's like nature, it's like the nature in any winter or any season, spring season, summer, fall, is gonna have varying weather. So you can't say, okay, I'm going to have the same, this wine is going to taste the same year after year, because the weather's not going to be the same. The, the soil, different, like climate, different things, the sun, different things are going to affect global warming, that, all of that is going to affect, they call it the terroir, or the kind of all of these factors.
Oh, like the pandemic right now.
Well, no, now that brings me to a point that, they're saying, obviously less people are driving. A lot of factories have completely stopped. There's less pollution in the air. I'm curious if wine 2020 is going to be like a damn fine year.
Who knows? Could be
knows?
2021.
The grapes might be much, 2021, but the grapes are getting much more nature.
Oxygen,
uninterrupted by,
chemicals.
Man's products.
Yeah, that's going to be another factor of like something that, would affect it. Not necessarily, I mean, I guess depending on where the, the vineyard is, and where, and kind of, that's also another, that location. And, I mean, right now it's COVID-19 is really affecting everywhere, but that will be interesting to see how it, is produced. So if you, get the wine for next year, it's like, to see what happens, in weather-wise and environmentally.
The harvest and everything.
That would be interesting, like, 40, 50 years from now, like, oh yes, the 2020, it was a very special situation to produce that wine.
That's why it's $1 million a bottle. It was a special year.
Do I need to do the $1 million?
No, it's $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. She's got it.
On that aspect. Okay, well that's interesting. Now, so what kind of music would you pair with this?
Well, because this one does have, it's a high acidity. As I was saying, it has those, it's kind of light, fruity, like I said, that honeysuckle chamomile. I would say, let's see, what would be a good song? Something kind of a happy-go-lucky kind of feel, kind of very, I don't know, a lot of his music is that he likes is
it's real country music. It's not happy-go-lucky.
Nobody's
okay, tell me a romantic country music that is not sad about my pickup truck dying, my girlfriend going crazy and hits my car with a baseball bat, because that seems to be like the themes that I heard on country music. So
yeah, there is a lot of that.
That's the kind of music that she likes. The sad, slower
I do.
music.
I just like a Body Like a Back Road. That one's good. That's a good song.
But there are a lot of good artists out there that actually perform upbeat music for special occasions, for good times, not just the sad time. Although I think the sad ones are the better ones because they the whiskey pairs well.
I just like the sad. I'm kind of a just so lonesome I could cry, like that
right here.
If you're gonna leave. Love those songs.
And you can't go nowhere. No.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, what the heck? Why load some songs when you got a man right now? Oh my God. That's just a horrible lyric right now getting written.
Well, one of the things is, again, picking. Right.
I shouldn't say that one. Maybe many people are listening to that. Anyway, but no, I would say this. Okay, so this one, if it's something that I would pair, something, light, fun with a little sting to it. Light melody, kind of maybe like a Sarah Bareilles. I'm gonna write you a love song. That would go well, like that kind of, or Kobe Calais, that type of. What's that? That song that she, it's a few years back, but what is that? John Mayer. Your Body Is a Wonderland.
Okay.
That's a great one.
All right, Answar, what's the country music equivalent to all the other song music that she's just saying?
Well, actually, I was thinking outside of country for this. It's kind of has like a lighter, more refreshing taste and smell. I was thinking if you guys have ever heard of Michael Franti, The Sound of Sunshine. It's kind of like a medium melody, but has an upbeat feeling, to it. But it's not country. It's more indie style.
Indie, okay.
Yeah.
But still,
I like that happy-go-lucky.
I like that happy-go-lucky because it plays into that good romantic, the fun mood.
What? Pharrell's "I'm So Happy."
That's got a little, rhythm to it, back and forth.
Oh yeah, Groot was dancing to it.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool.
I love comparing. I love that you asked that. Just comparing that kind of that wine to the song and how that, or just the mood, because you're saying setting the mood is so important. And that's that's something that, like coming home, like you said, having kind of a long day or a bad day, or and just I feel like wine is a lot of part of that. It's just like you're just like resetting yourself and the environment. So it's like I'm gonna open this bottle, I'm gonna pour a glass of wine, I'm gonna make a really nice meal, and then sit by your significant other or your partner and kind of enjoy. It just like resets the day, almost like okay, almost close a nice end of the chapter of a day, and just kind of enjoy each other's company and enjoy really the moment and living in that time versus reflecting upon like all this the worries or all this the running around, the hectic, the chaos of the day.
It's
that's
true.
what I love.
Like I said, especially now, the one thing you find is, especially, I don't know about you guys, but for me, my mood definitely has been swinging with this stay indoor order. That, you wake up, you got a great sunshine out, you go for a little walk. Yesterday, it just started to rain, and I got inside, and I'm like, I got into a slump for a little while. And then after a little bit, I'm like, hey, don't we have margaritas? Which can definitely change the mood just a little bit. And again, it's not the drink too much, but it's
a daily occurrence with the margaritas. That's why we were trying to switch to one. We did. We went through two mixes. Okay.
We did, but we went a week without any margaritas.
Right, but we had to buy the big bottle of Patron Silver. We had to. We had to. Yeah, it's already gone.
Let's rephrase this. We went to go ahead and buy it when all this went on, and the only Patron bottle left was the big one.
No, I showed you the little one.
No, you showed me the little one.
No.
The little one.
The airplane bottle versus the handle.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
So
I would rather have the bigger one, though. I mean,
it's not like it's going to go bad. It's,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It can, but we're not letting it sit that long.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you guys you talk about the COVID-19 because we actually recently started dating maybe 2 weeks before all this started. So it's been very refreshing having that time without the influence of the world. And we've been trying so many different wines and pairing it with food and sex and lots of each. So it's been a really good time during this COVID-19.
Yeah, we're experimenting with these. Yeah.
Well, it's good to see there's a positive coming out of this that, yes, we're at home. And I know some people, probably don't want to be home, but with the people they are with, but a lot of us are home with the people that we enjoy our time with. And it becomes a bonding experience, and exploring these new type of things, again, whether they're wine or food or sexual. We've actually been cooking together, which we really we've almost never had time to do.
No, we didn't because of our conflicting schedules. And we live together. Go figure. And we work at home.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But still,
it's like,
right?
Well, it's because neither one of us are like running around going to a meeting or going to meet up with someone, going to a networking event. It's just, now we're forced to be here. So it's
but
just
there's a positive side to it.
Yes.
That's what I found too. No, along those lines of just like, it's simplified sort of. It's almost like taking like a cleanse of just like, I can like being hyper focusing on what matters most, or like what values, of just, it's like, more together time, or more, I have my books, I can, if I'm studying, or just to focus on a few things rather than feeling like kind of running around because there's so many activities to do, or like I can't, I'm a very active person and I like to keep up and like socially and, act like exercise physically. So I either was working, going to the gym, like, meeting up with friends. And it was like, well, now there's just that's an option. So it's just, and I do have a wine shop. So I guess I'm, in the category of, I am going out and, working regularly. And then
yes, you are a very essential person to all of us. Very essential.
They're like, I'm glad. Yeah, but I wasn't sure if they were going to close. There were a few places that did close, but the owner decided he wanted to keep it open. And I could see, sales have been up like crazy. So, but it's, it's definitely been, it's nice to go there for a little bit, but then it's just, I'm at work at the wine shop or I'm home. And I started asking my mom about recipes, like some family recipes, and talking to her, and she kind of sent me a few of those, and so we've been making them. And then from the wine shop, I'll be like, oh, let me like bring this bottle home, and let's like try to make this. And so this one, Sauvignon Blanc, I usually do a lot of pesto or
ooh, that's good.
Yeah, that would be another like pasta and a spaghetti and pesto with this, and maybe some chicken on top with some Parmesan. That would be a great pairing,
See, that's why I'm glad we're doing an afternoon interview, because dinner is coming up.
Yes, and we have chicken to make, so yeah.
Yes, we do.
I do miss our favorite place that closed down with the pesto pizza. That was so good.
Oh, yes. Yes. We found out that, because we eat a lot of pizza, well, not too much, but weekly at least. And the red sauce apparently is what kind of gives you that afterwards super filling, repeating.
Go take a nap right away.
Yes, taste to it. But since we've moved to, and we're still getting some meat on it and some vegetables, and still putting the cheese, but moving more towards a pesto sauce on it.
Or a balsamic and garlic oil.
Yes.
Oh, that was my favorite.
An hour afterwards, we're not napping, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it's not as heavy. If it does. The red sauce is because usually my mom I have made it from scratch, but it's usually has the tomatoes and then the tomato sauce and paste, and then you're mixing that with a little bit of like red wine. So then I'll put like some carrots to like burn down the acidity. But it's just a lot heavier. Whereas the pesto or kind of what you said, balsamic and like on olive oil, it's a lighter. Or even just like if you did like a lemon, kind of a lemon, like a caper, was it like a chicken piccata type,
Oh, that sounds so good.
Yeah, those are like, I've been doing a lot of those. I love a lot of Italian. I don't know. My mom she's Italian, so I'm naturally inclined to make a lot of Italian meals. So.
Yeah, I'm technically Sicilian, so I'm naturally inclined to put garlic in everything.
It's just like a habit. You're like, oh, what does this need? It needs garlic. It
needs garlic, yeah.
For olive oil. So.
When we got together, again, I'm from Italian, she's from a Mexican family. We've realized they're the exact same, but one works with pasta and one works with corn. Because in her every time I'm like...
Rice. It's rice. You get pasta,
no,
I got rice.
And corn. Because there's tortillas or some type of wrap something and everything.
Basic core concept of a Mexican meal. It's some kind of rice, some kind of cheese, meat, some kind of meat, and beans. and tortillas. Okay, so it's
Tortillas.
5. Yeah, so there you
Always
go.
tortillas.
That is your fundamental Mexican meal.
And I grew up in a New York Italian family, and I remember, like, we went for a barbecue, and I turned around, and my mom pulled out pasta salad. I said, "Can we have one meal?
No
Just
pasta.
one meal without pasta, please."
It's like anything else.
Yeah, it wasn't until I was in high school when I had American friends, because I grew up in a Latin community, and I went to Thanksgiving dinner the first time, and I asked my friends, it's like, where's the rice and beans and tortillas? They're like, what? I'm like, it's Thanksgiving. You have to have these. They're like, no, you don't. I was like, oh, I guess I was not celebrating Thanksgiving the American way.
It's like, we have, what about the turkey? Yeah, just turkey tortillas. That's what you can do.
Turkey tortilla.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean rice? There's no rice here. I'm like, what? I can't eat.
Stuffing in place of the beans.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting, the dynamics of food and cultures, and
Everyone's a little different.
Yeah.
just a little.
So
All right, wow. We talked a lot of chatty catty here, and it was completely different off the rails, and we had to. It's, we're locked up. We need something different other than sex, but we did talk about sex. We did.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to go ahead, in the show notes, I'm going to add your list of recommendations,
Mm-hmm.
because most stores, liquor stores, will still do the pickup.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're still going to be indoors for another at least week or two. It all depends on whether you're listening to Trump or not. But you can call in and go ahead and just do a quick drive-by pickup with some of this.
Leave the kids in the car like John did.
Yeah, and Whitehaven was at, I know I saw it at Kroger. So they have it, like a lot of the, I don't if you have Kroger there, I'm not sure, but they have.
No, we have Publix, so.
Yeah, and I don't know about Chop Shop, and it's hit or miss with some of the grocery stores, as far as like what they carry, and the wine shops and things, and but yeah, this one will definitely, I know this one, Whitehaven was there, but yeah, and then I sent you that list, so those are most likely, if not at a grocery store, will be at a local wine shop or a local liquor store in your area.
And the one thing people forget, and I'm sure is you can ask them. You can ask the people there, like, you're going for all your education in wine. Don't just go ahead and look at the bottle and get the cool label, which is what I know most people do. It's got a dragon on it. I'm getting this one.
Mm-hmm.
Ask. You just keep buying Menage a Trois.
No. There's some cool bottle labels that I'm just like, hey, that looks good. I bought a serial killer label once because the label just looked cool. So,
yeah,
that
that's
person.
cool. Which, that's another, people don't think about that a lot, but like it's such an art. Like, who make, the artist behind the person who makes the label. Like, it's, sometimes, they're, depending if they're like a mass producer, but a lot of times if it's a small producer of wine, like they had an artisan or somebody come in, or they modeled, or they took that print from a painting, and they were like, hey, this would be a cool label. And I know The Prisoner has that's Orin Swift. He has a great, that's a really cool label. It's like the desert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, the desert is like, and it has a whole, it's kind of wrapped around, majority of the bottle, and it has this like desert scene. Really, that's just one example of what the art that goes into it, and people don't really think about it a lot.
Yeah, I know World Market is very good about that, showing a lot of different labels and artists and featuring that. And a couple places like Total Wine, they do offer tastings. So if you are questioning something, you could just ask for a tasting. They will do that. I know Epcot Food and Wine Festival, which is in September all the way to November, should be open, and we could go and do some tastings because you have not
That's
experienced.
a tasting marathon, though.
Oh, yes, it is. It is. It is not for anyone with a weak liver.
Like, imagine going to like Disney World, and every place where they sell soda, they just hand you more wine.
Thanks.
So that comes the concept of drinking around the world, because at Epcot, they have all the different world showcases.
Right.
And so what has happened over the years, the Food and Wine Festival used to be one weekend, and now it's about 3 months long. And they've added other countries and other exhibits on there. So now they have like an organic, they have Brazil, they have Australia, New Zealand, so all different things. So that's why I'm familiarized with the gooseberry, because they do promote that a lot when the New Zealand one. Then they have Florida wine. So, and then they bring all these experts like celebrity chefs, celebrity sommeliers. So that's why I can't pronounce it, but I knew about the words. So it's a very fun interactive weekend there. So
when is that?
If everything opens, it should be like September 19th until November 30th.
Okay.
So yeah,
That'd be fun. I didn't know about that. That would be a fun thing to just to go to, or even do a podcast episode on.
Oh no, totally. Yeah, and if you want, I think you could reach out to their media department at Walt Disney World to see if you could do that during Food and Wine Festival, because I know they do offer media passes. Yeah, I'm still trying to look.
We totally need media passes to wine events. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do our own wine podcast. But I know they'll do that because they like the exposure on that, and especially Tennessee, because they do a lot of their marketing dollars in like the Midwest and kind of deal. East Coast.
Okay.
So
all right, I'll look into that. That would sound so fun, and it's kind of like I want to do that, around the world, but this will be like a way to do it in one location for just a little less expensive,
a mini version of it. Yes,
a mini. Yeah, it does. Yeah, well, it does add up really quickly.
It's sort of like her dream is to go to Paris, which she hasn't done yet. So I took her to Vegas, and we stood at Paris
twice. Paris, Las Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, have you been to Vegas? Vegas.
Yeah.
We got married in Vegas. We eloped there.
Okay. Very fun. Okay, so that's like but yeah, that would be. I mean, I know Paris. Yeah, Paris would be nice too. Or France. Wine in France. I mean, that's the motherland.
Oh yeah.
Well, the one thing I will say before we close out is I'm very familiar with champagne. No one ever told me that sparkling wine, which sounds so much less classy, is basically just champagne from somewhere else.
I would say the title champagne, it differs. Like I personally, I haven't had enough champagne, I will say, just because it is, to buy it is a little bit, often is I can't really buy it that often, but I am a big fan of Prosecco, and Cava is like sparkling wine, and they do even more over champagne, even the ones that I've had,
right?
Those are more, and champagne just it has to be from Champagne, France, but other than the Cava, I mean, it's still a good quality. They use the traditional method of, a lot of times in making when making Cava or Prosecco. So it's kind of the same process, but just they can't call it that. So they're calling it, something more regional or to their country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they sort of like the Scotch thing, because you can get some amazing whiskey in Ireland. It's almost exactly the same. It's not from Scotland, therefore it's not Scotch.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
We gone through that. So anyway, so tell people where they can find you and how to reach out.
Yes. So I have the Instagram, so Treble and Vine. So it'll be Instagram, Facebook page. I have the YouTube channel, as well as my website up, just trebleandvine.com. So those would be, the best places that they can reach me, and just, direct message me is the best, best way.
Awesome. There. You can find us everywhere on all podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, review. Even if it's a horrible review, we'll take anything. We're desperate because
we're not desperate.
Yes, we are. We only have 10 reviews. I need more. It's like, but you can find us everywhere on social media as Sex Positive Me or Miss Angelique Luna.
Well, I want to give a teaser.
What's the teaser?
The teaser is pretty soon. We're actually going to be vending product. We ended up getting in with a towel and robe manufacturer, and we're going to be labeling them with all the fun stuff like Daddy,
Brat,
Princess, and Brat, and maybe Master Slave or Swinger, and maybe we should get Wine Enthusiast on it as well.
Well, that could be a possibility.
So we'll see. That's what's coming up. But if you want to reach me, I'm John C. Luna on all the different channels, and we will see you next time. Enjoy your wine. Go have some.
Enjoying some wine. Bye.
Bye.